Hello, welcome everyone to The Distraction here on Fightful.com. It is Tuesday, it is Movie Review Tuesday. I'm Jeremy Lambert, joined by my co-host, the Smoke Jumper, Joe Hulbert. Joe, how are you?
I'm good. I'm better for that intro. I'm fascinated to see how you're going to direct this episode, how you're going to lead it. I think this is the biggest challenge of your podcasting career thus far, and that is saying something after what we've experienced. But yeah, I'm ready to go with this, definitely.
Before we get into things here today, we know there's a lot going on in the world, in the United States, with the protests and the riots and the unfortunate death, the murder of George Floyd. Look, we're two white guys who like to talk about wrestling. We are not the voices you need to listen to during all of this. There are plenty of black voices out there that if you go on Twitter, Joe is elevated. I've tried to elevate. Go follow them. They're the people you need to listen to. If you do want to help out, though, blacklivesmatter.carrd.co. That is a website that has petitions. You can text and call. You can donate. You can learn more about there. But again, go on Twitter, support Black voices during this time, during all times. Get out, donate, protest, do whatever you need to do, whatever you need, whatever you think is right in this situation. But we're not the people you should be listening to for that. If you want people who are going to talk about playing with fire with John Cena, we're here for that. If you want real world issues that, look, we don't know much about, we certainly don't understand, that's not us. And from there, let me smoothly transition into our Tuesday show. I don't even know what day it is. Our Tuesday show where we review Playing with Fire, starring John Cena, Joe.
I mean, I said you had challenges ahead, but that was very well done. You're never going to find a transition there, but yeah, obviously co-signing what you said. But yes, we watched Playing with Fire, didn't we, Jeremy? This was this was something, wasn't it? I feel like you're going to frustrate me during this. I think you're going to be very happy about it, very excited. So honestly, you've given me the ball here. I'm not shooting. I'm passing it straight back. You lead. What is your thoughts on this motion picture that it was certainly an experience for me, I've got to say.
I didn't quite know what to expect. Like, I knew it was like a Nickelodeon's film, and I knew it was going to be like a kid's film. It certainly was. It wasn't what I quite expected, though. I thought there would be like more hijinks and shenanigans kind of stuff, and there was like through the middle portion, but otherwise it wasn't there. So basically the premise of this movie is John Cena plays Soup. I don't actually know his real name. They call him Soup throughout the whole movie.
It's Jake. I don't know what his last name is, but his first name is Jake.
Okay, sure. Jake Soup, Super Jake, something like that. Him and his buddies, they're smoke jumpers, not firefighters. There is a difference. There's like thousands, millions of firefighters. There's only 339 smoke jumpers, something like that. Do you know the number?
I believe that is the number that the young girl says, and she's corrected. It is 336.
Yes,
I believe, Jeremy.
Yes, that's what. See, I was hoping you would know the correction, and we would do that bit.
The chemistry there was incredible. Wow.
So there's not as many smoke jumpers. They're saving the world. I love the opening scene where they're putting out a forest fire or something, and they're going up, and you see the helicopter rescue, and this woman is just burying her husband to John Cena, and is like, I just wish my husband was you, and the husband is right there, and I just wrote down, this woman wants to bang John Cena, and I cannot even blame her, because who doesn't?
I mean, sure. Look, I don't want to. I certainly don't want to shame John or critique his appearance. He certainly looks better than I ever have. I'm a little bit concerned about John's physical kind of transition and evolution here. He looks more like Mark Wahlberg and less like John Cena every time I see the man. I don't know what's happening to him. I don't know. I'm worried about him. He's going with my side part a little bit, but sort of prime Joe Hulbert side part with the short hair. Hollywood Cena, I've got to say, Jeremy, it's been a couple of years. Still struggling to accept it. Gotta be honest, physically. It's a little bit weird for me.
I like the scene where they clearly just needed to get him with his shirt off and then in the shower. Yes. So it's the baby poops on him, which this seemed completely unnecessary to me.
Yes.
But I think it was just the means to do a shower scene with John Cena.
I mean, the film was never anything but lowbrow.
Yes.
But that scene very much kind of like confirmed its place in that area, right? Like it was, and it wasn't a short scene. It seemed to go on for years. It really did seem to go on for years as they try to tackle the diaper and the guys. It was. Look, folks, this film was. In fact, forget the film. I'm going at a tangent. Okay, look, Jeremy. Why are these films made? Now, look, I'm not saying that there's not a kid out there in the world that wouldn't enjoy it. But these films are so consistently uninspired, aren't they? They're just there's nothing. There's nothing to them. They're just absolute 90 minutes of nothing. Is the only way I could describe this.
There's some laughs for somebody. I don't recall actually laughing during this film, but there's some laughs for somebody.
There was one of the bits I thought was legitimately quite funny. I'll go with quite funny. Was when John was unsure as to why he should be ashamed that he's never cried, and then went and Googled, what was his exact Google? Is it weird to have never cried? Yeah. And he looked horrified at the result. John is, I don't know if I could say John is good, but like he's not Hogan bad, where I can have fun at how bad he is in this. He's just sort of fine. He's playing a straight man too, most of it, right? Like he's very kind of straight-laced, regimented guy, so it's a little bit tougher, I guess.
Yeah, I think the most I laughed was the guy who didn't talk throughout the whole thing.
Axe.
And then, Axe. And then he knows the words to My Little Pony. I thought that was cute. I don't know.
I mean, I thought the youngest kid, the little girl, I thought she was quite good in it.
Great, yes.
Yeah. Now, Cena is used to being carried by smaller folks, so I'm not surprised that he was so comfortable letting her kind of shine. But she had, I had some fun with some of her parts with Axe. That was kind of neat. But it's just, I watch it and I'm like, I don't even know where. There's not one scene. By the way, I don't know if you can go through every film we've reviewed. Every single film involving a wrestler as the lead has to make a point of the fact that he's incapable of showing emotion. And at the end of the film, he will show the emotion. Am I having a dream here, or does this happen every single week? I feel like it does.
I thought Shawn Michaels could show emotion, or was he not the lead though? Does Shawn Michaels count as the lead?
You're correct. Marine did not have any of that because they'd already established Miz.
Yeah.
And Shawn Michaels was, you're right. You're correct. Outside of that, I think it's home run.
Batista had emotion, didn't he, in Stuber?
No, because that was the thing where he was
like... Oh, yeah, with the daughter. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, he didn't know how to, properly support her. I think that's just a commentary on all of wrestling, is that no one can show emotion in wrestling. Yeah. They need Bayley or Sasha to do one of these films. The faces, they will give you emotion.
I watched most of this film. Honest to God, my main thought was just, I can't believe this isn't the WWE Studios film. It just felt like, it was so it felt like a film I had seen decades ago, but it was not. It was a very recent film starring John Cena. It's definitely not like anything creative or interesting concept-wise. But I was just watching it thinking, I'm so pumped to see Jeremy's take on this. Because I had this feeling you were going to come in and be like, best film we've watched, guns blazing, all it. And in truth, you seem to be at the same point I'm at, which is I'm not quite sure what this was.
See, for me to really enjoy it, I need Hogan is so terrible that it's hilarious, and the plot is nonsensical, and they just repeat the same bits. There's some of that in there, but like you said, John Cena is just acceptable, and so it's not quite as fun. It's almost like the Marine. This was better than the Marine 6, by the way. But it's almost like the Marine 6 where, all right, everyone's just kind of acceptable, and so you can't have too much fun with it. So then you gotta, can you have fun with the plot? And in this one, the plot is better than the Marine 6 as far as having fun with it. But no, I'm not going to compromise my integrity by boosting my John Cena fandom.
Well, I mean, I respect that. I did not expect it, but I certainly respect it. I mean, to me, this is the middle ground between Marine 6 and Stuber, where like I actually thought Batista was legitimately funny in that film.
Yeah.
You know, I honestly did. It wasn't like there's a part where Cena does the "you can't see me" deal in this, right? And it's like I guess I'm supposed to erupt in laughter at that point because I know what he's doing. I don't know. I assume.
It's a wink and a nod, Joe, breaking the fourth wall.
Shooting, right? But I mean, like Batista was legitimately funny, I thought, in Stuber. So I don't know if this is anything like the Batista takes pride in, but he has, in my view anyway, like comprehensively up John as an actor, right? We can give him that victory without any debates, any questions asked. Batista better than Arrow, John Cena in Hollywood, correct?
When it comes to this film, yes. I think we have to watch more John Cena and Batista films.
To really ones, but I'm not sure about John Cena. But we'll see. We'll have a pick it, right? Pick back and forth. So we'll see what you give me. But you're right. We have to build a full argument. Is your point, right?
You can't judge it based off just one match. Like if I had said, okay, who's the better wrestler, John Cena or Batista, and I give you John Cena against Umaga, and I give you Batista against, I was going to say JBL, but you would probably really like that match, so I didn't want to say JBL. Batista against Triple H, you know, you're going to go, oh, John Cena is definitely the superior wrestler.
I think John Cena is anyway, that's a whole other conversation. Like, that's his own podcast, right? The Batista or Cena. Yeah. But my notes for this film, I had Google search funny, I had You Can't See Me, I had Boom Boom, and I don't know what that is. So
that was when she pooped. When
right.
She,
that was a good note on my part. Yeah, that was good.
I was waiting. I was really waiting when she did that. I was waiting for John Cena to go, Dookie.
This film would have been at least 10,000 times better if he'd have done that. Every film, in my view, in the history of cinema after No Holds Barred should have some kind of reference.
Yes, I agree.
Like if this film was just this exact film, but the last 10 minutes instead took place with him fighting a man in a hexagon, like all in, or octagon, whatever which he was. But every film should end with that, in my view. But I'm with you. The one thing I'm certain we're both like, we can confirm now, you've already said it, I'm going to co-sign it here. This is definitely better than Marine 6. So if you've been waiting for a while now on to get some advice on whether to watch Marine 6 or Playing with Fire for your evening's entertainment, we are here. The distraction is here to lead you to the conclusion that yes, Playing with Fire is the correct choice.
Someone suggested on Twitter that WWE is going to counter program us by doing like watch-alongs to movies and whatnot. And look, if they have the gall to do Marine 6 and they can do that straight face to be like, this is a good film, man, Miz's performance, that was just amazing. Like, more power to them. I don't think they could actually pull that off. They're not that good of actors in WWE to pull that off.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, speaking of such, I feared we would be low on kind of talking points here again. I really did.
Oh, no, I have plenty.
Got some.
Yeah.
Good. But I just want to put something out there that we can come back to today or another week. I do want to, at some point, Jeremy, as we go through this experience together, come up with like a power rankings of professional wrestling actors. This is an idea. I'm throwing it out there. I am open to suggestions, but I would like to put together a comprehensive list on this by the end of our project here. I very much would.
That's completely fine. We have to watch more movies first. Like we haven't even gotten to The Rock. There's a lot of amazing Rock films out there. I didn't say amazingly bad. I didn't say amazingly good. There's a lot of amazing Rock films out there. We've got to watch
one word for him. Yeah, that's one word I would use to describe him, certainly. But there's other ones I can think of. But you're right. We have to cover more. But I do think it's a kind of a end of the tunnel deal to look forward to, right? Like it could be something that we can hang our hats on as a broadcast journalist. Jeremy.
Yes, fair. I like the bit where John Cena doesn't know what emojis are and thought he was inviting Judy Greer to ice cream, and more poop jokes because, you know, gotta have those poop jokes in these films.
Yes, because the youngest girl, she's sending the poop emoji, right? Yeah. And she keeps sending it. And then because he doesn't get it, he keeps sending it. Jerry, what a hilarious bit. And the part of it, obviously, the whole joke falls apart based on the fact that even if Poor Soup, or whatever his name was. I can't believe I just say that and that's his actual name. Incredible. Even if he did think it was ice cream, there was no need to send it 45 times, was there? He certainly could have stopped once he got his phone back. But yes, that was also a bit that was in this film, correct?
John Cena really loves ice cream. I mean, look, he really wanted to make it known that he wanted to take this lady out for ice cream. I like the oldest daughter tries to explain the thinking bubbles, and then look, we've all been here. You see the bubbles pop up on the screen, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, they're replying back, and then they disappear, and you just start freaking out. We've all been there, Joe.
I want to make it clear in saying that while both of us think this film is terrible, it isn't like a painful experience, and it's because there are little moments where you smile. You know, what was your thoughts on John the piano player, Jeremy? Was you startled by his showing in that? Because that was about as out of his kind of comfort zone as he went in this film, I would say, right?
I just expect John Cena to be great at everything. So the fact that he could play this piano, he only knew fire songs, which
See, that was a cute little thing. Like, there's little things that you smile at. It's just over a long film. It would have been better as a 30-minute episode of the Big Show, wouldn't it? Really, when you really think about it.
We should get John Cena his own show on Netflix. I feel like we have that kind of pull. I don't know if he's a big movie star, so I don't know if he would want to downgrade himself to that. But if he does, add to our GoFundMe. We need 20 million for No Holds Barred 2, and what was the other film? Oh, the other Hogan film, Suburban Commando 2. We need 20 million to do both of those films. I think we're going to need a bigger budget for a John Cena Netflix television show.
I agree. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not as keen on this idea because I know I'll have to watch it then. I led us down this path with the Big Show, didn't I? Yes. I really kind of decided our fate with that move, and that famous tweet that still to this day people retweet. And by the way, guys, if you watch the show and you retweet or like stuff from a month ago, I'm scared of you. I want you to know that now. I'm very, very scared of you. I want you to be safe. Be careful. Anyway, I'm with you. I just fear. How many episodes was the Big Show, Jeremy? 6?
6 or 8. I don't recall how many it was.
8 episodes of John Cena being this guy. Hey, that'd be a task. I mean, time limit wise, I know it's not, but it would be something. It would be a challenge.
You could watch that over Raw easily.
True. Yeah, true. I mean, the studio audience is about as legitimate at both shows right now. So. Yeah, you're right. There's always worse things you could watch. You made a good point. NXT, I wouldn't go near it. I've watched Cena doing just about anything over NXT. But anyway, back to Playing with Fire.
This is the final week of NXT talk on this program, folks. So you got this episode and one more, and then we're never talking about this program again. The stuff I'm Playing with Fire, like the rescue stuff, is hilarious to me. Like, this is so absurdly bad that it was funny to me. When he's rescuing the 3 children from the burning house, and they're having like a 20-minute conversation as everything just burns around. Like, okay, who should be rescued first? Well, you should go. No, John Cena's just like, all right, this is how we're gonna do it. Everything's just collapsing around them, and they're just having this normal conversation of what's happening, and just, all right, things are burning, it's fine. It's that little dog meme, like, this is fine, everything's cool.
Exactly that. It literally is that exactly. If you've not seen this film, and I hope you haven't, that is exactly what this scene is. But I don't think it's even supposed to be like a thing that we notice or care about, is it? Like, we all know they're getting out, so we just kind of let them have a bit of dialogue while the power place burns to the ground. It's pretty amazing.
The other scene, the other rescue scene, and I went back and I rewatched this like 2 or 3 times because I had to make sure what I was seeing was legit. I did not believe this would like be in the film. So at the end, the kids steal the truck, and it's about to fall over a cliff, and John Cena's got his like bungee cords and stuff, and he's super muscular because he's John Cena, and he's holding it he's holding it up from falling over the cliff, and like he just stops. It's like he's going down with it, and he just stops. I think maybe I don't know if his feet plant into a rock or what, but he literally just stops as he's sliding. And then the kid just like reaches up and is fine off of this cliff, even though they're in this vehicle that is going over the side. Look, you got to watch this scene. I feel like I'm doing a poor job explaining it, but this is how absurd this scene is.
Yes.
The kids, they just, their hand comes up and comes over on the cliff, and then they're just rescued. And Cena just like lets go of the rope. We never hear this car crash or anything. And like he lets go of this rope while the kid is still on the rock. It could have easily like caught his leg and pulled him over or something. This was so absurd. I was like,
okay,
this can't be real. So I watched it multiple times.
I'm so glad you said this, because I have to admit, and I'm not proud to say it, I was going to not discuss this because I thought I was being the dumbest person in the world. I was watching John Cena do this, and I was like, I have no idea what I'm even supposed to think is happening right now. Because as you say, like, it seems that he's holding the vehicle on the edge of the cliff, right? He's holding it on. But then he sends the boy to, like, do something. This is where I didn't understand what was going on. Because then they're both in the thing. And as you say, like, at some point, they just get out of the car. We don't hear the car, like, damage, nothing. And as the point of what you were saying here that really was wild and was glaring to anyone that would have watched this is that once he sees they're on the edge of the cliff, he just lets go of the thing he's holding, and he just runs to pick them up. And it's like, hang on, so what was he holding? I don't understand what was happening here. I'm actually really glad you brought this up, because I thought I was just being, like, an idiot. I didn't get it.
I did not get it at all. Again, I went back because I was so sure that I missed something upon the first viewing. I was like, no, this is not how they put this scene together. So I watched it multiple times to confirm what I had initially seen, and sources confirm with me that this vehicle we couldn't see it, Joe. It was all a metaphor for John Cena as a person. We just could not see this vehicle. It was all an imagination, just like John Cena is.
Yeah, it was also one of those deals, like, obviously when you watch films, there will be moments where you're aware it's not supposed to be believable or realistic, but what they're actually doing is nothing like spectacular. So I assume it was supposed to be something feasible. I legitimately just think we're missing what it was that he was supposed to be doing. I don't know if he, like, tied them so that then when the car fell, they were hanging on. Was that what happened? I don't know what happened. I do not know.
I don't think that was it at all. Like, I thought it was the vehicle. And if the car fell, like, we would have heard the car.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like,
we agree on that. Yeah.
Like, that was the other thing. And then they do, like, the big wide shot, and so you see the cliff, and there's no, like, car outside. I thought they had a second roof, Joe. I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought it just fell on the second roof, so and everything was fine.
What did he send the boy to do in the car? I didn't get that. Could you help me with that?
I have no idea. I think it was to rescue, like, his sisters. Like, he just sent him. He's like, "Here, go rescue your sisters." I'm like, "I'll hold on to you." That boy is very strong to, like, rescue. The older sister is like, she is older than him. She's not small. I'm not saying she's big, but, like, she's bigger than him. To carry her up would take a pretty good strength, I would think.
I don't know. I'm just really glad. Honestly, people that watch this show must be sitting there thinking this is as much discussion as they've had on one topic in years. They must be saying they haven't talked about wrestling in this kind of detail since the 90s. You know, guys, look, watch the scene for yourself. If it's on the YouTube or wherever you have to seek out this particular scene, I just want to know the physics of this. I want to understand what his plan was. I want to understand if his plan worked or he just got lucky because this kid had superhuman strength. Anything you could tell me about this scene, much appreciated, because I had no idea what was going on, to the point where legitimately I was just going to pretend it didn't happen because I didn't want to come across like an idiot. Thank you, Jeremy, for coming to my rescue here, that we can both share the confusion, because I have no idea what happened to this point. And you've watched it 3 times, right? You still don't. By the way, you're the only person in the world that's watched any scene from this film 3 times. I hope you know that. Be proud of it, Jeremy. You're the only one in the world.
Look, I'm a professional, and if I know I'm going to have to review this thing, I've got to watch it multiple times to make sure my eyes are seeing what they're actually seeing. This was an absolutely absurd scene that made the film better, honestly, because look, if you're going to do these kind of films, make it this absurd. Don't If this was just a logical thing of, okay, then the car crashed, whatever, we wouldn't have talked about it this much. It would have gotten dismissed.
True.
I think they did this scene in mind of like, somebody's going to review this film and have so many questions about this scene. And this is going to be our legacy. And congratulations, playing with fire producers. You've succeeded.
So I agree with everything you just said. There are a few things in this where sometimes film, I mean, when we get given these films, right? When you give me a film, when I give you one, the first thing I do anyway, Jeremy, I don't want to speak for you, is I check that runtime, right? And when I see 90 minutes, which is almost every one of the films we've reviewed so far, by the way, 90 minutes, I'm like, okay, how bad can it be? And this was, I'm not going to say this was like painful to watch, but you know, like the prolonged happy birthday party deal they do, where like everyone's having fun. Honestly, maybe the longest scene in the history of cinema. Like I was waiting for credits to roll, and I checked the thing. And it was like 20 minutes left. I was like, oh my goodness, because I forgot he had to do the whole the conclusion with the guy he wanted the job of. You know, you maybe help me with this, but there was a job that he wanted, and
he wanted that was kind of Dennis Haysbert's job, the commander. So he wanted to be commander.
Thank you. Yeah, and that was in like the background of the film. But we reached like the full circle deal where everyone's having fun, and it's the youngest one's birthday, and then all that just comes back. And I honestly had totally forgotten it even was a thing. I was waiting for credits to roll, Jeremy. I was done. I was celebrating with them. They were playing like they were throwing balloons at each other. It was a bizarre film in that it just moved at a pace that I can't even compare it to anything. I mean, Marine was pretty slow.
I was gonna say the longest scene in cinema history is just the Marine 6, because it's one scene. That entire film is just one scene.
Yeah, I mean, definitely this moves along much better than Marine 6, 100%. But they're like in kind of the pattern of the story and the way the arc went. Jeremy, I'm going with arc to describe Playing with Fire. It felt like we reached the climax of the film at about an hour and 5 minutes. And then it was like, oh yeah, we've got to finish this other stuff, you know, like, and then the child protection comes at the exact same time. All of John's progress is undone in like a minute. So I'm just glad, I'm just really glad that we kind of reached some kind of, we brought the public's attention to that scene. That scene is all I want people to discuss from this. It really is, because now all I can think about is I hope there's someone that has an actual breakdown for me. Because they may have a full analysis of this.
I think the moral of this film is just what should be the moral of our podcast. Don't get distracted, because that's what happened to John Cena. He got caught up with the kids and a potential girlfriend, and he lost sight of being commander. And you know, that was his goal. That was what he was put on Earth to do, and he got distracted.
He did, but in the end, he gets rewarded for being distracted. So if you are currently, you know, considering closing the video because we've just told you not to be distracted, know that it helped John Cena in the long run, because the commander realised that he also has a family and he doesn't hate kids. I think was what he looked at a picture and was like, oh, I have kids too. They're not that bad. And then he gave John the job anyway. Did he not? I don't know what happened. I forget.
I don't know if you have any opinion on this, but what did you think of I guess it was the 5th or 6th most important story. Keegan-Michael Keel, he played Mark Rogers. There was an underlying thing of like, it wasn't underlying, like he was John Cena's second. And like they referenced that, especially the oldest daughter was just like, oh yeah, he really bosses you around and stuff, and he's like, well, you know, he's my commander, he's my soup, so that's what I'm here to do. And then John Cena gets his girlfriend, and he's like, guess I'm not needed anymore. He's very worried. He's very worried that like he's losing his position as second in command to the girlfriend.
Yes, I'm going to be honest. You're right. This was a thing that was going on. I paid such little attention to it that when he did the line of like, I think what he said was, like, John was with now his girlfriend, and he was like, I guess it's over then, or something like that. Right? He said something like that. And I was watching. I had no idea what was that. So, and then I realised, yes, you're correct. That was kind of the because he bonded with the oldest girl a little bit, right? Yeah. Didn't they have some conversations? She was talking about she likes art, right? This is a thing that happened to a different film. Yeah, okay, good. So
that's also stupid, but yes.
Yes, true, it is. I have no opinion on it. I always appreciate when these completely simple, uninteresting films pretend that there's an extra like layer for a character that they really have nothing for. It's like almost out of courtesy, right? It's like, oh, he's not that simple of a character. Like he also has this problem. And we never learn really anything about it. It's just one line here or there. But I'm glad you noticed it. That shows you really did pay attention here.
That was long-term storytelling in this film. They set it up early. They paid it off in the end. My other favorite bit, I just feel like I have a lot of favorite bits. I like the John Leguizamo's character where he misquotes everything.
Yes, that was fun. Yeah. I enjoyed that too. And then what was the quote he had where like the other guy was like, you know what, that might be right. I don't know. It's such an obscure, strange.
It was like Rainbow Jones or something. Yeah. I have no idea who he was referencing. I was like, okay, maybe we should have looked this up. But he's like, yeah, that might actually be right. But yeah, he's quoting Gandhi and all these people, and it's like, nope, that's not the quote.
Yeah, I thought it was good in the sense that in a film like this, where even the straight lead, who's super serious, is silly often just by circumstance, I will say that none of the characters in this film enraged me or got me to the point of like, I need to get them off the screen. And that, my friend, that's an achievement, isn't it, Joe? Because we've seen enough of these films to know sometimes it'd be a little much when you have the camaraderie and everyone has their little bits. I thought everyone was enjoyable enough in this. It's just, as we've said, it's like, so early in this film where it's headed. Like, did you believe for a second that those poor kids had parents in this? Like, it was so clear, so clear to me that it was going to be a thing of like, they were telling him that they were coming or they were here, they were there, and they of course wasn't. Jeremy, they'd passed on, unfortunately. Did that surprise you at all?
No, I wasn't surprised that they didn't have parents or their parents. I didn't know that they were dead, but maybe just their parents like abandoned. Yeah. They were on some safari and got lost or something. I don't know.
I always enjoyed deals like that because it's like as the audience, we're like, yes, of course, that's obviously what's happening. But like, meanwhile, John Cena's character is like just absolutely dumbfounded. He cannot believe it. He's like, what? Like, no way. Like, no way you haven't got parents. It's so odd they have only just texted me once about this whole incredible accident in which a cabin burnt to the ground and their kids are...
In defense of John Cena, this is his character in the film, though.
True.
Like, he doesn't know what emojis are, so I totally believe that he's just completely taken aback that they don't actually have parents.
Like, good podcasts have catchphrases and stuff. Our podcast, that one you just said, in defense of John Cena, is like an absolute certain distraction catchphrase. Like, if we had shirts, it would be in defense of John Cena, Jeremy Lambert quote. That's, to me, that encapsulates a lot of what we do. Even when we're not discussing John, that is very much fitting.
I'll talk to Sean, see if we can't get some shirts made for that. I don't know if we would get a C&D off of that or not. I guess it would depend on the image that we use.
In defense of John Cena would be the most niche T-shirt in the history of but I'm all for it. I think that fits us.
I feel like it would do well. People love John Cena, rightfully so.
But this is the thing, okay? We're going off tangent, Jeremy. We're doing it now. When did it happen? When did we go from Cena getting booed in every building to Cena getting like playfully booed to, oh my God, he's the greatest man to have ever lived? This is what I want to know the timeline of. I don't disagree with any of it. I just would like your guidance on how this actually happened.
When he went away, this is the Dolph Ziggler argument.
Oh, wow. Okay. Set yourself up for a big one here.
Dolph Ziggler is just, people would just continue to be like, oh yeah, Dolph Ziggler, like, he's fine. They boo him because they get kind of tired of him and stuff. Ziggler always says, like, no one's had a chance to miss me. So, like, I'm just always around. The heart grows fonder, but absence makes the heart grow fonder, Joe. So when John Cena goes away, people are like, man, I really miss this guy. And they realize, like, everyone now just isn't that good. So when a big star, like a legitimately big star like John Cena comes back, they're like, yeah, big star is here. Like, this is great. Like, no more Braun Strowman talking about, oh, I saw that guy over there and he ran off into the bushes. John Cena ain't getting caught doing that stuff. He's never going to be caught in the next man's sweater, Joe, especially not his neighbor's sweater. And so when John Cena comes back, everyone is just like, Big Match John is here. We have an actual star on the show for once. Welcome back, John.
You know, we don't do a lot of wrestling talk on here, like a direct current wrestling talk. Obviously, we talk a lot about wrestling a lot when we need to. Shawn Michaels episode, 2.2 mainly, but like that Braun Strowman deal, just because you mentioned it, I have to say, that was the only thing he did on SmackDown, right? He's the champion of the show. That was incredible. And the fact that he managed to make a mess of that promo too was just even better, I thought.
People were like defending it, and look, it's fine if you liked it. That's cool. I didn't. But like my issue is just like, this is your world champion and you just got him out here like he's just some random citizen on the street giving a first-hand account of what happened. Like, you didn't have anybody else for this role. You didn't have one of the NXT guys you could have used for this role. Like, you made your world champion do this. And when I saw it and I thought about it, I was like, do you think like Austin or Cena is ever getting caught dead just being like random citizen on the street as the world champion? Like, it's not happening.
Yeah, and also it's even worse because it's not like Braun's like a Daniel Bryan where it's like he's kind of like an everyman kind of deal. Like, he's an underdog. Braun's whole thing is he's like a cartoon character monster. You know, like that was his whole thing, and now he's just a dude that stands outside the building when he's the world champ of the show. But anyway, I'm with you.
That's the problem. They're trying to humanize him. Like, they're trying to, oh, Alexa, you got me a present. Like, I don't want this Braun Strowman. Like, tear down something, dude.
Yeah, I think at this point they've exhausted all ideas and creativity for the man. I actually feel for him a little, but anyway, back to playing with fire, Jeremy. Or back to John Cena, not playing with fire. I find Cena fascinating because, like, any criticism anyone could have of him now is just not accepted. It will not be accepted in the modern world, and I almost respect how rapidly it changed, because I feel like once upon a time it was the opposite, but I think you may actually be right. I think people, look, I love Roman Reigns, but I think people were like, man, Roman is not John Cena. You know, for better or worse, in most cases worse, I guess, people miss him, right? They miss that kind of clear top guy that's energetic and over the top, again, for better or worse. They miss that, I guess.
What are your criticisms of John Cena? And I'll tell you why you're wrong.
Well, look, I mean, a lot of it is purely Cena. Here's the thing with Cena. I like Cena very much, okay? And I think when he's on, he's one of the best promos ever, and he always worked hard and had very good matches, great matches. His matches are not always the most rewatchable. That's my first critique of him. Speaking as an artist here, Jeremy, okay? Be careful, okay? I'm not. But sometimes when you rewatch his matches, it becomes clearer to you that the passion in the moment overrides the fact that layout-wise, they're a little simplistic. That's all I would say about his big matches. Now, some of them, I've told you a million times, the Umaga match, I love it. Classic. But some of the matches of AJ, I loved them at the time, and as I rewatched them, I don't know. They're very good, but they're quite simple in terms of what they do in there.
Yeah, that's because that match was ahead of its time. Now everyone does the 1,500 different kickouts from everything. It's like the almost like the Undertaker WrestleMania streak. You know, when Shawn Michaels kicked out of the Tombstone at, I guess it was 25, like, that was a big deal. Like, people went crazy over that. And then they did it every single year after, and it's like, okay, this moment has just been completely lost. Now, like, if you get put down by one Tombstone, it's like, look at this geek. I guess that's John Cena. That happened to him at, what was that? That was the one you went to, 34, right?
Listen, we'll one day talk about that WrestleMania on this podcast. It will not be today. It will not be today. But you are correct. I was there for that extravaganza. It was tremendous. But
John Cena was every man on that show. He was in the audience with you, Joe. Did you smash the cold beers with John Cena?
I did not. No, I would have loved to and discussed it with him, but I didn't get a chance to. But you're right. Okay, you're 100% right. But there was a moment when Owens came up, whenever that was, and they had those matches together, there was a moment where Cena, I think, internally was like, oh, so like, if I just do like a Canadian destroyer every once in a while and do like a springboard stunner, like my matches are just immediately critically acclaimed. And those matches are great, but then it led to the US Open Challenge thing where like what you just said is so true, because if a guy got pinned by the first AA in a Cena Open Challenge, it was like, wow, what a job, guy, this guy's. Get him out of the promotion. So, Yeah, you're right. I often think he may have been a little too selfless in that sense. Like, he shouldn't have had guys kicking out of all his moves and stuff. But Cena's great. He has, can we admit this much, Drew? He has some quirks that we can agree are they're a little bit corny, okay? It's not a problem.
How dare
No
you?
issue. But I refuse the tweets. I see them, and I don't know if you've done this, Jeremy, but if you're one of these people, I'll come get you, okay? If you say that Drew McIntyre is corny as top guy, you would be correct. But do not then tweet the John Cena picture of him as WWE champion, because it's the same thing, okay? Cena may have been better at doing it, but he just had his little quirks. Like when he would try and, like, one of my favourite Cena-isms is when that match he had with AJ at SummerSlam, where he hits like the Super AA and AJ kicks out, and like the spot obviously is that John is trying to show that, like, he can't believe AJ's kicked out. And he can't just do this with like a facial. He sits in the corner and he's like shaking in just absolute shock. And it's just the way he is. He's very over the top, I guess is the point. And as someone that's just constantly like miserable and downplaying stuff, I would rather he be like Bret Hart, who just never ever did that kind of thing. I guess that's my point.
First off, that's called showing emotion, Joe.
I don't get it.
I know wrestlers, we just talked about, they have trouble with that, but that, yeah. That is the payoff right there, is when they actually show it. It just resonates with everybody, apparently, except for you, who would just rather be everyone be a Kawhi Leonard and just show no emotion ever. The other thing is, this is also proof that Seth Rollins is going to be a great actor in Hollywood, because he too cowers in the corner with shock and fear. So he's going to be amazing. I cannot wait to review a Seth Rollins film in 5 years.
It's just the thing. He does it. He's another one. And it's like, I get it. I would rather they do that than not emote and just do moves. 100%. But I just love that there's now storytelling in wrestling is like the most over the top of thing. And I do blame John for this. Shawn Michaels is the main villain in that regard. But Cena's got to take his own share of, like, he'll do those bits where people are like, wow, great storytelling. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, everyone in the whole world understood what he was doing. Genius, super subtle stuff. But Cena's great, guys. I'm just missing. I much prefer him to Shawn Michaels. That's my conclusion. That's the conclusion of this podcast. I prefer this to Marine 6. I prefer John Cena to Shawn Michaels. That's my takeaway.
Hell, John Cena's not ruining an entire brand.
True. He's never got a brand banned from this podcast.
Yeah.
Ever. He never will, either, I hope, I assume. I don't know how long we're going to be doing this for, but I assume it'll be long enough or short enough that we avoid John Cena booking a brand into banning. I hope anyway.
I mean, the thing is, if John Cena comes back and he booked a brand, we wouldn't ban it. It would be the best brand ever. So it wouldn't get to that point.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I find John to be legitimately interesting as a guy. I find him to be, he's quite unique, isn't he? I don't know. Did we ever discuss the Corey Graves podcast where they pulled no punches on our show? When he went on. I'm not talking about the show itself. I know we've discussed that more than enough, but did we ever discuss that little episode?
I don't recall if we did that off air or we briefly mentioned it on air. We talk a lot, Joe, and I don't remember when the record button's going. Is it going? Okay, it's going right now. Sometimes I just don't know.
Yeah, sometimes people will send me quotes from this program, and I just read it. And I'm like, I can't believe that was when we was on the show. I forget these things, but you're correct. I just think he's interesting. He says some stuff where I'm like, man, that's if someone else said that, it may be controversial. But John is just, he's riding high with wrestling fans now. Now that he no longer wrestles matches, we're all in on the John Cena, right? We're all in. We're the GOAT. That's what we all call him now when he comes out, right? Here's the GOAT. That's what we say, Jeremy. So good for John. Worked incredibly hard. Incredible career. And also made playing with fire.
I think if John Cena said the things he said on that podcast while he was like still active, he would basically be looked at like Corbin or McIntyre, because they say 100%. Similar things, and people are just like, can these guys just shut up already? Oh yeah, grab the brass ring, locker room. I'm trying to get the cut the fat up from the locker room and stuff, like step up or get out. Like this is literally what all three of these guys say when Graves and or not Graves, well Graves might say it too, but when Corbin and McIntyre say it, it's like, okay, shut up. Like the opportunities just aren't there. Like you don't get it. But when Cena says it, it's like, yeah, why aren't these guys stepping up? Like what's wrong with them? Take advice from John Cena. He's been to the top. He knows what he's talking about.
The GOAT has spoken will be the reply. They'll be like gifts of John. He slays and all that good stuff. Well, look, I'm all for it. There's enough, in all seriousness, there is more than enough negativity in wrestling Twitter world at all times. Not now, like any time ever. There is enough. It's nice to see John Cena. Just everyone deciding they love John Cena after all. I will maintain, and in the back of my pocket, I'll always have those critiques, and I'll throw them every once in a while. You know that, Jeremy. Sometimes I'll just drop them and I'll run. But for the most part, I am happy that we all enjoy John Cena. It's a nice thing for us to share, isn't it? If nothing else, it's nice.
I think when John Cena just makes a post like he's news, it doesn't even like his Instagram just posts like a random picture. It's like, oh, John Cena comments on, oh, what's John Cena gonna do? And he can just like tease anything, and it's just news. Like that's a level of just WWE fame and maybe overall fame that we should all hope to achieve. We should all aspire to be like John Cena in our life. I think that's the ultimate message here.
I mean, yeah, look, I'll be honest. There's a lot worse ways to go, especially in professional wrestling, isn't there? There really is. But John Cena is a legitimate celebrity. I'm right in saying this, right? Like he's an actual famous person.
Yes.
I mean, that immediately puts him above almost everyone else from his generation, right? Like he actually did it. He became a genuine famous person.
Cena's only like second to The Rock, right? Like as far as celebrity in actual pop culture. I mean, maybe Hogan years ago, but nowadays, like he's nowhere near there. Maybe Flair. Yeah. Flair's got to be up there.
Flair is interesting because he's almost got more so in that sense, like since, hasn't he? Yeah. Have you noticed in like the last decade? Ironically, it's another thing TNA managed to miss the boat on. They missed the boat on a man in his 60s, which is an extraordinary thing to do. But he seemingly, when he left there and went back to WWE and sorted himself out, and I think he got with smarter people to manage him. Like he seems to be now like a pop culture guy in a way he hasn't been in legitimately decades. Like over here, this says a lot about WWE, by the way. It's a little bit of any Brit fans that watch this will know. Like WWE changed broadcasters over here like 5 months ago, whenever it was.
Yeah, and BT the advert
for yes, BT Sport, and the advert for BT Sport is a couple of the Office guys. They're athletes, I don't know who they are, but they're talking about wrestling. And the guy they're talking about is Ric Flair. And then Ric Flair comes in and does the woo. And I think he may chop him. And he struts off. And I remember watching it thinking, it feels awesome that that's a thing. But also very scary that they opted for Ric Flair as their lead in the advertising. You know, I don't know what that tells you about WWE. But, like, it is interesting that at their height, as much as Flair was, like, critical acclaim and everyone respected him, Hogan was, like, the celebrity by comparison, right? But now, I would say Flair's more valuable. Right? Maybe? I don't know. I actually have no idea, but I would just guess, basically.
I'm pretty sure Flair is more valuable than Hulk Hogan right now. I mean, they still see value in Hulk Hogan. I don't know how much actual value there is in Hulk Hogan. Look, that's what happens when you're a racist, okay? Your value goes down.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, we're aware that there is a range of reasons at hand here. I'm not kind of saying, but what I'm saying is that it's just an interesting thing that Flair feels like as relevant as he has in a long time. It's pretty cool. But I think Cena probably... I don't know. Is there any way to actually find this stuff out? Like, as far as actual fame, I guess it's impossible.
I'm sure there's, like, Q ratings. Isn't Q rating something that's, like... I don't actually know what that is. Q score is the measurement of the familiarity and appeal of a brand, celebrity, company, or entertainment product used in the United States. So it's just United States, apparently. So here we go. Let's look at the Q rating.
Oh, wow. For people. This is a whole new podcast, guys. Get your seatbelts on, get your popcorn ready. This is going to be something.
Oh, do I need to sign up for this? I'm not doing all that.
No.
Can't I just, like, Google, like, what the Q rating is? Okay, I'm just going to Google John Cena Q rating.
Because John Cena, I mean, he was on top for his peak may not have been as great as some of these other guys, but he was on top for so long. What about Austin? Where does Austin stand in all this?
Yeah, I don't see anything like an actual John Cena Q score just off of Google. So I don't know. Maybe if someone has signed up to that website, let us
In
know.
that case, put the popcorn down, undo the seatbelt. There is not a new podcast starting. Just to be clear, that was a bit that actually went nowhere. But anyway, yeah, Steve Austin, where do you see him, Jeremy?
Um, I don't think like he's not as big as Cena. He's not as big.
Yeah.
Like I think The Rock is one, and I like that's
Yes.
almost indisputable at this point. Cena for me is probably two. Batista's up there too. Like he's been in Marvel films, and he uses his platform to really he does well with his platform.
Yes.
He doesn't do like commercials and stuff, but he's been in a lot of film. The Marvel films alone just kind of will boost
Yeah.
his stock. Flair's probably over Batista though. Like Ric Flair got a rap song named after him, and he's doing like
Yes.
commercials, and he's like
Mhm.
introducing world tours and stuff. Like
That rules.
yeah, like really Ric Flair, dude. Like his birthday, like Charles Barkley and all these people showing up to like his birthday party and stuff. Like his legit birthday, not the one where Batista killed him on television. Like his legit birthday. That happened, right? Like that was a real thing that happened on WWE
That was
television.
amazing. We don't talk enough about when Batista pulled Ric Flair along the floor by like his collar. That was one of the greatest visuals in the history. That was peak Flair in just the sense of course he would do that. Of course Ric Flair would be in on that. Yes, I love it.
I think Flair's three. I think Batista's probably four. The problem with Austin is like he could have been there. I feel
Yeah.
like, but the movie career didn't really pan out for him.
Hmm.
He's tried multiple times to do like beers, and I think like now he has a stable one, but it's like only available in the West Coast. You don't see Austin on like a lot of you don't see him in like commercials and stuff
Hmm.
though. Even like some type of like television shows. Maybe he gets a guest appearance here and there. I wouldn't put Austin on that level as those four.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got to put Nikki Cross in the conversation, but I agree with you that the list of candidates is it's just interesting, right? Like sometimes I underestimate how famous wrestling is, and most time I massively overestimate it. Like there'll be weird times where like Bill Goldberg will just show up on a TV show, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
I can't fathom that real people care about Bill Goldberg. Like it's amazing to me, but sure, it's cool. I'd actually like to see what people's takes are on this because I agree with you. Like, we're being honest, Rock is probably he's insurmountable, right? You can't pass Rock at this point.
no,
Surely he's made it so big in the real world. He has to be number one by a mile. He has to be.
yeah. I don't think it's really
Yep.
close.
Hmm.
But I do think Cena is second, and then after that you can kind of debate Flair, Batista. There was one other who slipped my mind, so I guess he's not as big as I thought he was. If I can't remember
Bobby Lashley.
who it is, no, it's not Bobby Lashley. The Miz. The Miz has been in plenty of feature films. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the Undertaker. I don't know how big like the Undertaker is,
Super
but
famous.
yeah,
Super like the just the name and like some of his little quirks, like the eye roll, the sit up. He's
yeah,
just way over with normal people. It's actually kind of you're right. That's actually a very good call. He's an interesting one because he's always never done any branding until like the last year where he's just Mark Calloway on every program possibly.
right.
We could probably get him on here. If we asked him, I think we could get him on here to talk about Hulk Hogan or something. I don't know. But he's hard to gauge, but he's very, very famous.
Yeah, I think he is up there, and now with this docu series that's out, and him actually being a normal human being and not a supernatural phenom, his brand can go up a little bit. You mentioned the like, people doing eye rolls, like the Cena "you can't see me" stuff. Like that was a big thing in
Yeah.
sports. Like LeBron was doing that at one point.
Yes.
Like people really like doing that.
And it's like a whole meme, right? That's what the kids call it now, Jeremy. Like, it was a meme, I'm told. And also, don't forget my favourite wrestler, Randall Keith Orton, because he's not as over as his finisher, which was like an all-time meme by people that have never seen Randy Orton wrestle. Am I correct in
That's
saying this,
true.
aren't I?
Yes.
I mean, he's an interesting one because I don't think he's nearly as famous as just that whole thing is. I mean, I think Bobby Roode has got to be. If he's not two, he's got to be three, right? He has to be. He was an NXT champion, Jeremy.
Where does CM Punk rank?
Well, the thing with CM Punk is he was always hurt by the fact he never pulled any punches, and he was straight shooter to the end, and that hurt him on these lists. he was. I'll say this much about CM Punk: like he was t-shirt over for a while, where you would see his t-shirts in real life. And as a wrestler, that is very impressive. The only problem is he went on to have a UFC career and is now a pundit on a program that no one watches. So unfortunately, he has probably plummeted down that list.
Sneaky on the list would be Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
Really during the yes chants and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, you were at this show, Joe. You want to talk about WrestleMania 34 when he came back and they highlighted, oh, the yes movement is back. Yes is back. It's like, man, if you guys did this when it was like actually at its peak, you could have had something.
We will not talk about that. Very dark day. But you're correct. I remember even when the first time round, like, I remember mainstream media talking about they would show the shot of people at WrestleMania doing it all together. And then do you remember sports teams started doing it?
Oh.
They would send a video, right?
Oh, so here's a story for you. I was at a hockey game.
Okay.
The Hurricanes against the Islanders. The Islanders, like, adopted this chant. Like, they did the yes, yes, yes thing. Like, they did it in the arena. When the fans would travel, they would do it and stuff. And, like, so I'm at the hockey game here in Carolina, and Islanders fans are doing this chant, and I was doing it with them. I didn't realize they'd adopted it. I was like, yeah, cool, Daniel Bryan chant, awesome. And like, I had my Hurricanes jersey on. Like, why are you doing our chant? I was like, oh, I didn't realize like this was an Islanders chant. He's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, well, do you guys know where this like originated? And they're like, no. Like, I think they thought like they think they came up with it. They're like, we originated, the Islanders, of course. And I was like, no, this is like a Daniel Bryan thing, like professional wrestling. They were disgusted to find out that this is a professional wrestling chant. Like, they did not do the yes chant anymore after I told them, yeah, this started with professional wrestling.
I love little things like that. Like, when a theme song will get over, like, someone in a sports arena will decide he's going to play it pre-game. Like, you'll hear like Fandango's theme, which will go off in a football stadium. It's like, and as a wrestling fan, you have to look around and be like, oh wow, I really am a lunatic for knowing what this is, aren't I? Like, no one cares. That will happen. I think it happened with Shinsuke's theme.
Yeah.
It definitely did, didn't it, with Bobby Roode? I'm pretty sure. So yeah, that's always weird when things get over more than the originator of it. That's a little bit different. But Bryan the Bryan thing is just amazing in itself, right? That kind of organic writers, but where, I don't know, Bryan's biggest flaw is that he's just like another wrestler because he's so selfless. He would refuse to be anything but, right? Like, even if he becomes part-time, we both know that he's going to do like 20-minute matches with mid-carders on TV. He's still going to do it. Like, he's Daniel Bryan. That's what he does. So he probably isn't the guy to like capitalize on his own potential fame, I would say.
John Cena comes back and wrestles like these big matches. The Rock comes back. He's like, yeah, I'm working with the top guy. I'm working with Cena. Cena comes back. He's like, all right, Bray is supposedly the hottest thing in the business. I'm working with him. Daniel Bryan's going to come back and be like, what's Ricochet up to right now? Oh, he's still on main event with Cedric Alexander. Let me wrestle him for a little while.
Yeah, how does Timothy Thatcher feel about a tag team run? I'm interested. You know, like, it's just, that's the way he is. But that's kind of, I think that's why he's so endearing to people. But yeah, I'm actually. Here's what I mean. We're just, while we're doing this, and I know we've gone way off. But what do you think the deal is with Bret and Shawn on that list? Where do you think those two kind of fall? I know they're not near the top, but I'm just saying compare it to each other.
I don't know if either of them have like an actual score. You know, like I don't think either of them are like actually relevant in pop culture. Like, I really don't. I never hear anything outside of like a wrestling bubble about Bret or Shawn.
What about Randy Savage, Macho Man?
Yes, Randy Savage was, I mean, the Slim Jim deal alone like made him pretty big. And then even like working with Rodman at that amazing match they had at Road Wild, Hog Wild, whatever it was called. Yeah, Savage, he was in Spider-Man as well. Like, Savage certainly had some type of Q score and was relevant in pop culture. And like the voice is something you can imitate, so it made it easier. If John Laurinaitis had just been a bigger star with that voice, man, his Q score would be off the charts.
I would love to live in a universe in which John Laurinaitis is the most famous professional wrestler. Like, that, our industry would be the most different ever. It would be so different. But no, you're right. Like, Bret and Shawn, obviously one of them's more colourful and flamboyant, but they're still like, they're not. Savage is unlike anyone ever, isn't he? Like he's his own thing altogether. And that shirt, man, that's still like a shirt you can actually wear in real life. Like some people like me will wear wrestling shirts in real life and will take the hit. We'll take the hit, cool wise. But Savage, I think you can get away with it. So that says something about him in itself.
Somebody in my group therapy a few years ago like wore that Randy Savage shirt, and this is how I found out he was a wrestling fan, because like he just wore that shirt and he's like, yeah, it's a cool shirt and I'm a wrestling fan. I was like, okay, like you're comfortable wearing that, awesome. I am not wearing like my Finn Balor shirt out in public. Like, sorry.
Okay, one last deal on this, because I'm always interested on what your perspective is on this stuff. So Andre had the big HBO documentary. Did it make any impact whatsoever as far as how famous he is or not? I have no idea.
It was one of those things where it was like, all right, people watched it, they talked about it for a couple days, and then they just like kind of moved on. Like that's
yeah.
They've done 30 for 30s on wrestling, and it wasn't really a thing after that. The problem with stuff like that is like, especially if the performer is no longer with us, like, there's no capitalization of, okay, now he can do interviews and stuff. Like Ric Flair, they did the 30 for 30. All right, you can get him doing interviews and stuff. The Undertaker is out there promoting this whole thing.
Sure
and
is,
doing interviews and stuff. Yeah. Like Dark Side of the Ring, like, some of this stuff should be a big deal. I guess that a lot of this is like darker. That's why it's called Dark Side of the Ring. But some of these performers just like aren't there. Like New Jack, they did an episode on New Jack. Like New Jack ain't really pop culture relevant.
Hot take. If you take anything from this show, folks, remember that New Jack is not quite pop culture relevant, unfortunately, in 2020. Yeah, no, you're right. Dark Side is very much, it's an interesting show in that it's made for people that have like a surface level knowledge, kind of. Like you can kind of just drop yourself into it if you don't know about wrestling, I think, and get something out of it. But it's a show that's definitely watched by people like us that love and know all this stuff anyway. It's kind of, it's one of those like middle ground deals. I think it's tough for them to do in that sense.
All right, Joe, what's your score for Playing with Fire? Isn't that what this podcast is about?
Okay, I need two parameters here, Jeremy. As always, I need some kind of reference. What did I give Marine 6? What did I give Stuber?
Marine 6 is a 2. Stuber is a 6 from you.
Perfect. Split the difference. 4, right in the middle there. It's not enraging or insulting. It's just a bad film with no ideas. But it also has enough like little funny moments that you can kind of slide through. It's fine. It's exactly what I kind of expected. I'm absolutely in awe of you for saying it wasn't quite what you expected. That makes me think you thought you were picking a whole other film. But yes, that's my rating.
No, I legitimately thought it was just going to be like more hijinks with everything. Like there were hijinks. I expected more. That's all it was. Like you put Playing with Fire on the same level as The Chaperone. Do you feel good about this?
He's so good, I feel about that. I don't know if you're asking me whether The Chaperone should be insulted or Playing with Fire, which tells me that I haven't perfectly scored at the same.
I'm going to go 3 stars for Playing with Fire. That puts it, I gave The Chaperone 2 and 3/4. So I did think it was slightly better than The Chaperone.
Okay, I can get that. They're both in that Alexa Bliss match range, right? Where it's like, they're fine, let's never talk about them again. That's what you're actually telling me here. I'm on board with that all the time. So yeah, if you're really bored, I recommend it if you want any more context on this podcast, or if you feel you're an expert on what could go down in this final scene. In that case, please do watch and help, but definitely don't go out of your way for it.
Yeah, please watch like the last 20 minute. What you'll know the scene when you see it. You don't have to watch. Look, I'm saying it's an hour and a half film. This scene comes at about the 1:10 mark, I think. So start watching from there. You'll see the scene, and then after you see the scene, you can cut it off because there is like a scene after that you don't have to really watch. So yeah, watch this scene, the climax scene. Let us know what you think of it. Please try to explain. If there's a physics graduate or something out there who can explain this, please do this for us.
If there is, why are you watching this? What are you doing? Why are you wasting your time like this? But yes, before you never watch again, explain this to us and then move on with your life.
Anything else, Joe? What are we watching next
No,
week?
I mean, yeah, well, I'm completing the trilogy. I deem it as a trilogy. It's not a trilogy, but I'm not going any further into his collection of films because I'm sure there's worse. We are going with Mr. Nanny. I know it was expected, but I want to complete this saga before moving on to a whole new chapter. I want to write this off, see if it's the best of the bunch, and then we'll move on.
That's fair. I like that you want to compare all the Hogan films, the
Yeah,
main three. You want to do. I think we'll do just a big compare contrast next week. That I don't know if this is gonna be a thing, but maybe we will. I'm trying to diversify a little bit, give a variety of wrestlers. Joe is just
yeah.
sticking tried and true, much like Bret Hart. I understand his sentiment there. Just stick with what you know. Do your 5 moves. Get in, get out. That's fine.
Yeah, to me, it's a project. I've always wanted to learn more about Hulk's movie efforts, and this is my chance to do that in a podcast form. But I also appreciate you're showing the other side of the coin. You're giving us a bit more range. And the end of it, Jeremy, is that we come out of it both much more experienced film viewers, and that's all you can ask for, folks. Is it not? We're both getting better for it.
We will be back on Thursday to talk wrestling. I
Yeah.
I have no idea what's happening in wrestling right now. NXT, they got their pay-per-view. The final show where we talk about NXT will be on Thursday. So if you really love that brand, then you might not listen to us ever again after Thursday because we're not talking about it anymore after Thursday. And then whatever else is going on in the world of
Yes.
wrestling. I have no idea. I don't watch wrestling. We'll be back on next Tuesday. We're going to review Mr. Nanny. Saturday is the TEW series. This Saturday is our first pay-per-view, WWE
Wow.
Backlash, presented by me. Big main event. Bret Hart against AJ Styles is the main event of this pay-per-view. Might be on the level of AJ Styles against John Cena. I don't know. Maybe not quite, but it's a good match. It's a good match this Saturday with our TEW series. You can follow Joe on Twitter at JoeHulbert5. You can follow me on Twitter at JeremyLambert88. Again, go to blacklivesmatter.carrd.co. Support, donate, do whatever you can. Everyone out there, stay safe, and we will talk to you on Thursday.